Hello and welcome to the accounting process tutorial. This presentation will give you a step-by-step walkthrough of the processes and forms that you will need to complete in order to account for the funds that you receive through the IdahoSTARS QRIS. You may have received funds to help you meet goals you set in an improvement plan, or you may have received the One-Time Achievement Award for earning a star rating. So far in this process, you have created an improvement plan with goals you set for improving your program. You have submitted a plan and a funding request to IdahoSTARS for funding consideration. After the IdahoSTARS staff have reviewed your funding request, you will receive 3 documents in a packet with a funding check. The first is the IdahoSTARS Improvement Grant Award Letter, which tells you the amount of the grant award. Next is the Improvement Plan Grant Record, which states the dollar amount awarded in each category. And finally, the QRIS accounting worksheet, where you will record the exact amount of funds that you spend. We will look at each of these forms one by one so that you can become familiar with them. This is what the IdahoSTARS Improvement Plan Grant Letter looks like. This is too small to read, so on the next 2 slides we will look more closely at the 2 paragraphs with the red arrows. The first paragraph that we identified with the red arrow lists the 6 criteria used by the IdahoSTARS staff to determine the amount of grant funds to be awarded. And here's how it reads. Your improvement plan and funding request has been reviewed by IdahoSTARS staff members based on the following points. The plan is consistent with the facility profile and environment assessment results. Indicators in the lowest tiers are addressed. The plan identifies at least 3 goals for years 1, 2, and 3. Year 1 goals are achievable in the upcoming year. Funds requested are reasonable for the resources identified, and number of children served. It is important to remember that IdahoSTARS funds quality enhancement that address needs above and beyond those required to operate legally. Basic operating expenses such as fees for licensing, CPR pediatric first aid training, background checks, and regular maintenance on structures are not funded through the QRIS. This next slide shows the second paragraph highlighted by the red arrow. This section is extremely important because all IdahoSTARS incentives, grants, and awards must show clear documentation and records that demonstrate accountability for the funding received. So let's go through this line by line. If you have already earned a star rating, the letter will refer to the star rating anniversary report and not the application for a rating. This first line is the amount of the award. There will be a check enclosed with this letter. Be sure that it is the same amount that is listed in the letter, and remember that all funds received from IdahoSTARS must be listed as taxable income on your tax returns. The next 2 lines refer to the form we supply for record keeping. The QRIS Improvement Plan Grant Record will come to you filled out with the exact amounts you are being awarded in each of the 5 categories. Capital improvements, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, strengthening families, professional development, and health and safety. The definitions for each of these categories will be included with this form. Specific items that are being funded or not funded will be listed in the notes column. You may not have requested funds for all 5 categories, and that's fine. Only those categories for which you are receiving funding will be listed. Here's an example of an improvement plan grant record. Note that the amounts budgeted are listed, as well as what the funds are to be spent on. Substitutions cannot be made for funding without written permission from IdahoSTARS. Also note the information in purple in the bottom block. Any unspent funding will be deducted from the next incentive earned. What that means is that any money you do not spend will be deducted from the amount you earn on an achievement award or on your anniversary. This QRIS accounting worksheet is extremely important. You can fill it out by hand, or you can use the template found online, which has formulas embedded in it so that it can add up the columns for you. Notice each of the columns. This system starts with numbering your original receipts so that we can easily match them up. The next slide is an example of how this works. As you purchase items from your grant funds, number your receipts to keep them in order. Also, be sure that your receipts are only for items funded by the grant. No personal items should be mixed in. So this is what the QRIS accounting worksheet would look like, filled out with those sample receipts. This worksheet is submitted to the IdahoSTARS office with the original receipts attached, and you may send it in as soon as the funds are spent. You may also send it in with your application for a star rating or anniversary report, but sending it in early is preferred. Early accounting of funds will make the application process easier and faster. Notice the actual costs are taken right from the numbered receipts. Although the amounts budgeted for the 2 of the 3 items did not match exactly with the amount spent, the difference between the budgeted amount and the amount spent is $32, a 10% difference. Keeping track of the amount budgeted and the amount spent is important. When your paperwork is received, the amount spent will be compared to the amount awarded. Receipts must total at least 90% of the grant award before your application for a star rating is processed. This is why it's a good idea to send your receipts in as soon as funding is spent. A 10% cushion is granted because IdahoSTARS recognizes that some incidental expenses, such as materials for parent ed events or strengthening families activities, may be hard to track. Please note the red ink at the bottom of the award amount. We can't emphasize enough how important it is to keep careful track of your receipts and to spend the money on the approved items only. Failure to provide receipts will result in immediate repayment of funds per the IdahoSTARS QRIS agreement. Failure to repay may be grounds for further legal action, and you will not be eligible for future IdahoSTARS incentives. Here are a couple of reminders about what IdahoSTARS is not able to fund. IdahoSTARS will not fund licensing costs, first aid, CPR, and background checks. IdahoSTARS funds quality enhancement, not basic business operating expenses that are required to operate legally. In addition, IdahoSTARS will not fund capital improvements such as square footage, major renovations such as heating, cooling, ventilation systems, and roofing, or staff time and personnel costs. So let's go over the steps once again. Here are a few hints and reminders to help the accounting process go smoothly for you. Purchase only what was funded on the Improvement Plan grant record. Get separate receipts for grant-funded purchases. No personal items mixed in. Save those original receipts and number each receipt right away. Some additional reminders are to enter your receipts into the QRIS accounting worksheet as soon as you make your purchase. To list the items on the spreadsheet by the same numbers that are on the receipts, list the original budgeted amount on the spreadsheet, and calculate the difference between the budgeted amount and the actual cost. Remember, a 10% difference is okay. Other important information to remember are that the incentives, the IdahoSTAR rating application or anniversary report, cannot be processed without a full accounting of the funds. Substitutions cannot be made without written permission from IdahoSTARS. If you need to make a substitution, call us. Failure to account for funding may result in repayment, noncompliance, and/or legal action. Any dollars unaccounted for on the QRIS accounting worksheet will be deducted from future incentives. This concludes the QRIS accounting worksheet tutorial. We want to thank you for all you do for the families and the children in your care. Be sure to call if you need more information or support. At IdahoSTARS, quality childcare matters.